Hey everyone, welcome to today's Oh, hold on a second. There we go. Record that. Hey everyone, welcome to today's Program Yourself Thin podcast. Today we're talking about strategic weight loss, one of my favorite things in the world to talk about. And when we talk about strategic weight loss, we're really not just talking about dieting, okay? Because a lot of times you have to understand that with dieting, they're just telling you what to do, right? It's a description of what you should do, which really is just a tiny percentage of what you need to actually do it, right? Like knowing and having a laid out plan, even if it's the most detailed plan in the world, right? Say you go see a nutritionist, dietitian, they give you a plan for every meal of the week that you're going to eat. Okay. It's that detailed. But to go from having that plan to actually living that plan and following it and doing it consistently so that the weight starts to come off is a completely different process. So we need to bring more strategy into this. And I tend to think of the meal plans, the eating philosophies as basically just being a tactic. Even the concept of a meal plan, even if it's 90 meals over a week, it's tactical because it's just telling you what to do in the moment. Just do this thing. And the real challenge comes down to, can you get yourself to do it consistently? So again, knowing what to do and being able to get yourself to do it are two totally different things. And dieting almost exclusively is focusing on telling you what you should do, not on how to get yourself to do it. And this is where the strategy comes in. And strategy is really just thinking bigger. It's thinking about the soft skills, the subtleties of getting yourself to do the thing that you know you need to do to lose weight. Okay. And so when you start thinking more strategically, I think you instantly see this whole process in a different way. Because when you think of it tactically, it's a binary switch, right? You either do it or you don't do it. And most of what's going to dictate whether you do it or not do it is really just your willpower. Can you force yourself to flip that switch to stay on or be on, or can you not? And really, most of your success or failure is going to come down to that. But if we take a step back, we start to ask, okay, how could I put myself in a better position to flip that switch up? And that comes in two ways. So when we think strategically about our behaviors, we're thinking about the behavior we're going to take. And if it's really overwhelming, it's going to be really stressful. So the first thing we're looking at is, what's the strategy we're looking at? What are the tactics? If it's something like keto where you're going to completely cut out carbs, that's really difficult. Okay. And so you're going to need a tremendous amount of focus and motivation, willpower to live that out, because it's so difficult to go from how you were eating to eating a keto, keto intense lifestyle. And so that's the first step of being strategic, is to dial down what you're expecting yourself to do. Make it easier. So even if you like the idea of keto, I guess it's a little bit, but say you kind of dialed it down a little bit and said, okay, I'm going to reduce carbs in my diet. I may not go into ketosis, but I'll reduce the carbs. And that's a smaller step to take that's going to be easier. Okay. So that's one piece when you're getting strategic, is what is it that you think you have to do? And is there variability in it? And yes, there is. There is variability. You got to stop thinking all or nothing, like keto, for example. You're not going to live your life in ketosis. No, you're not. So it makes a lot more sense to, again, be able to have some flexibility and dial down what you have to do so it's not so overwhelming intense. Now, the other side of it is really your mindset, right? How are you going into this process? And yes, when we start a keto plan, we can do the craziest shit for a little while. We can follow really intense plans for a couple days, a couple weeks, sometimes a couple months. Okay. But the reality is that you're not going to be able to live your life at a level 10 motivation all the time, constantly focused, always making the right choices and food decisions. It's not going to happen. And so again, we want to look at both sides of this strategy. We want to make more variability to kind of meet us where we're at. And then we also want to get good at learning how to influence our mindset in the moment. How can we get ourselves to take the right actions consistently? And part of that is kind of mindset, how we're thinking about things. And the other part is how you're talking and thinking in your mind, because that's going to dictate in the moment really so much of what you think, feel, and ultimately kind of behave from. But this is kind of the starting point to get more strategic, is to look at the specific strategies you're taking and refine them, make them more varied, give yourself more options that you probably need instead of the black or white diet kind of framework. And then the other piece is your mindset. Getting your mindset into the right place so that it's doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you. You know, when you start thinking differently about food, about your weight, about your health, it's easier to move forward and make better choices and decisions than just thinking like a dieter. So anyways, if you want to go deeper into this process, click the link in my bio, go get the hypnosis session I give you, watch the video I make for you, read the emails, take the goal weight quiz, lots of tools for you out here in the world. You do not need to be dieting to try and lose weight. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Any questions are welcome here on a Monday. And I don't know how people are doing. It's a funny year. I would say it's a different year than most years I've had. I've been doing this for a long time. This year is well, I don't know what it is. I don't know, people seem a little more preoccupied, I'd say. That's what it seems like. But if you have any questions about your weight, feel free to ask them what you're eating, why you're struggling, how to stick with things. All of these questions are good ones. And allow me to kind of go into deeper that what I believe is that really, to change your weight, it really is a mental game primarily, and whatever you're dealing with, and I don't know, whatever it is, maybe you can't get yourself started. Maybe you started and you're struggling to stick with it. Whatever position you're in, it always comes down to your mindset, and you can approach this with a different mindset than you have been. And that is almost always the solution for long-term success, right? Now, you don't need to change your mindset to get short-term success. You've done this. This is what everyone does. They will, kick on to some strict diet for a little while, follow it the way they follow it, and then stop, and that pattern runs over and over and over again. So, so much of weight is mindset. And I think it's probably the part that's most under talked about. I think when it comes to weight, good Lord. I mean, 90% of it's about food, some form of a diet manipulation. And then the other 10% is probably working out stuff. But very rarely are you getting mindset training to help you create the weight that you want, which is weird. I don't know why. I think like when you take a step back and reflect on your situation, it's like you must think your mindset has something to do with all this. What's up, Mickey? Mickey says, I start and do it for a while. I'll lose some weight, then gain it back. Yeah, that's probably one of the most common. I mean, that's probably the most common pattern, right? Is that you start it, you do it for a while, you lose some weight, and then you put it back on. I mean, that's like, I don't want to say 100%, but like 90, I don't know. They estimate it's 95 to 98% of people that lose weight on a diet put it back on, so it's like literally everyone, statistically. And, so again, I come back to like, how do you even start with this, and again, I say, you gotta free yourself of the diet mindset, because it's the diet mindset that sets you up for failure right from the beginning. It really is, because when you think about dieting, you're literally doing what a dieter does. I don't know if it's Mick or Mickey, but you're literally doing what a dieter does, because what's a dieter focused on? A dieter is focused on losing weight. A dieter is focused and fixated on getting to their goal weight. That's their whole focus. That everything they're focusing on is losing weight, getting to their goal weight. And it makes sense. Yeah, so what, Jim? So what? Because that's not what you really want. If all you focus on is losing weight, what happens when you start to get to the goal weight? You say, oh, I'll be happy. I'll live the rest of my life, Jim. No, because you've never learned how to live at your goal weight. You've never learned that. And so everything you think in terms of weight loss is almost always this short term, I'm going to do this until I lose the weight. But then what? Well, then I'll figure it out. Okay. But so this sets us up for failure in a big way here, though, because when we start thinking about weight loss as just something I'm going to do temporarily, like I'm going to eat better until I lose the weight. As soon as we think of it that way, now our brain says, well, now let's just do the craziest thing. I just want to lose this weight fast. Let's get this over with. I want to get to the good part. Okay. And this is how you set yourself up to choose extreme plans. So I would love to know what Mickey, when Mickey says I start and do it for a while, I'd love to know what that means. Because for most people, what it means is now you're going to count every calorie. You're going to restrict. You're going to stop eating carbs. You're going to stop eating for 16 hours. You're going to, deprive yourself. Right. So usually when I start to lose weight, it's something extreme, unpleasant that you don't like to do. That's just, and again, put in whatever you do. I don't care what your plan is. I bet you don't like it. And I bet it's a huge change and shift in how you eat. And it's overwhelming. and you end up getting bored, tired, frustrated with it, and you quit, right? This is the same story for everyone. So the alternative I'm saying to you is that you stop with something extreme. So stop starting with something extreme. Instead, start with where you're at. See, the beauty of your eating is that it's on autopilot. Your brain and your eating, especially as a habit, is really built to just be an automated thing. Like I don't know specific numbers, but it's estimated over 80% of your eating is really just this habitual, repetitive, same stuff, week in, week out, same amounts, week in, week out. Okay. So the majority of your eating really is subconscious. It's just happening on autopilot. But the thing is that you've been programmed how to eat without you realizing it. You've been programmed to overeat. You've been programmed to eat fast. You've been programmed to eat processed junk food, fast food stuff. You've been programmed to not listen to your body. You've been programmed to not know how to manage your mindset to make the right food choice. I mean, it goes on and on. But the point becomes that with Program Yourself, anyways, an alternative to the diet approach is that we don't start by changing all our eating 100% in one day. What a goofy idea. I don't know how much goofier you can get than going from the way you normally eat to a keto plan tomorrow on Monday, and I'm going to follow the keto plan all the way to my goal weight. No, you're not. No, you're not. That's such a dramatic, extreme shift in your life that no, you're not going to do that for long. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? So the alternative that you probably have never heard in your life is that we start with where you're at. Don't change everything, okay? Let's start to understand where you're at and then strategically start to improve it. Strategically, like a smart person, not like a dum-dum. Don't take this personally. I don't, it's again, hate the diet, love the dieter. Okay. I'm here for you guys every single day for free. So no one cares more about you dieters than me. But at the same time, we got to call a duck a duck. And dieting is dumb. It's just stupid. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked for anyone. 100 years of diets. What's the best diet out there? None of them. Okay. And so we need a new way to think about this. And if you can stop thinking about instant, fastest results possible, you can stop thinking that way for a second, then you just learn a system where you can live at your goal weight for the rest of your life. It's no different than money in the sense that imagine if you learned about money and making money, the only thing you ever learned about it was from get rich quick schemes and infomercials. Imagine that. Right? So you'd never even have a concept in your mind of how to actually, develop a skill, create value, get compensated for that value and whatever. Okay. You'd always be scheming. How can I get money quick? Right. And that's how you think about weight loss. You're so obsessed with fast weight loss. Again, not your fault. You've been conditioned your whole life by the diet industry. Just think about weight loss. How can I lose it? How can I lose it? How can I lose it? It makes you crazy. And it's funny because I know so many of my clients are like these long-term strategic thinkers. I work with extremely successful, smart, intelligent people. And it's like they're successful professionally, personally, like all the areas of their lives that they're doing really well. Got graduate degrees, college degrees, long-term, commitments to their craft, and they're really good at it. Right. So this long-term thinking over here, and then it comes to weight, and they turn into a little impulsive kid. I gotta lose weight, I gotta lose it. It makes you crazy, So yeah, again, this starting. Okay, Mickey says been doing the intermittent diet. Yeah, the intermittent diet is such a, oh my God, talk about like no foundation under you. This idea that you're eating all the time and now you're going to only eat 8 hours a day. And it's stressing you the fuck out. Tell me it's not stressed. Tell me you're not stressed. Tell me you're not stressed at noon. 11:45. No. You know when the stress is the highest almost is when you're like still an hour and a half away. Tell me you're not stressed at 10:30, right? If you're stopping your thing at 12. Tell me you're not stressed out. Tell me you're not stressed the night before when you start thinking about how the next day, how you're gonna get through the morning. Tell me you're not stressed when you think about the next morning and it's, breakfast with your kids, but you're not gonna do it because you're intermittent fasting, right? You know what I mean? Like God, and this is literally my hate for diets. I think my hate for food company is probably what powers me. I'm probably more, I don't know if you're a Star Wars dork like I am, but I'm probably more Sith than I am Jedi. I think that the hate fuels me. My hate for these diet companies and these food companies runs so deep because in my mind, I think of this shit. I think of weight as like life and death. My dad died at 54 of a heart attack. So for me, this whole thing is like so much deeper emotionally. And the diets and the dumb shit they teach us, the food companies, obviously, how they hook us on food, it makes me insane. And that's why, literally, that's the reason why I'm here for free every day doing this podcast. I do it every single day, Monday through Friday, weekdays, every day around noon Eastern. And I get on here and talk to you all because I fucking hate these companies so much. And I mean, it that's what fuels me. There it is. But anyways, yeah. So Mickey goes, yeah, definitely. I'm stressed. I'm stressed. Yeah. Do you understand, folks? This is the big diets are not there to help you. Diets are literally, the diets are owned by the food companies. Did you know Weight Watchers is owned by Heinz? Jenny Craig is owned by Nestle. Slim Fast is owned by the same company owns Ben and Jerry's ice cream. Atkins Food Products owned by the same company owns Auntie Anne's Pretzels and Cinnabon. These companies are not there to help you. Okay. They're there to teach you dumb shit that doesn't work because they don't want you to lose weight and eat well for the rest of your life. And that's the facts as far as I see them. So I think of dieting as this psychological operation to mess you all up. And I think what they've done just on a core level, tell me if I'm wrong, is I think that every time you think about weight loss now, when you think about losing weight, subconsciously your nervous system activates a stress response because you have trained yourself for the last 30, 40 years that losing weight means stress. It's Monday, starve myself, Monday, intermittent fasting time. You know how stressful, you know how fucking stressful Mondays are, period. Let's just take the food out of it for a second. Are you telling me you're not like stressed up to here just with living in 2025? Are you telling me you're not thinking about money and relationships and work and bullshit and stupid shit and stress and news and dumb shit? And okay. And then on top of that, now you're going to go into Monday tomorrow and what? You're not going to eat for the first 4 hours you're awake, 5 hours you're awake. You're going to skip your coffee. You're going to skip your muffin in the morning. That's the only thing that gets you through the fucking day. And then you're going to stop eating at 8 o'clock. No more snacking at night, just completely stopping it. And then let's just say you muscle through the week. Now here comes the weekend. Here comes the weekend. The fucking only thing that gets you through the week, your Friday night snacks, watching fucking shows and just relaxing with a food on Saturday. And you're just going to stop all that? No, you're not. You're going to be stressed you're going to get so stressed. You're going to say, fuck this. What am I doing to myself? This isn't worth it. Isn't that what always stops you right before you quit? This isn't fucking, what am I doing to myself? Oh my God, the weight's not that bad. Oh, thank God. You know? So it's like, again, it's not, you don't need a plan. Again, I love plans. And by the way, in Program Yourself, then and me personally, I use intermittent, I use a form of it. I use a more flexible, more comfortable form of it for me. So I like the idea of taking a break from eating. I love it. I hate the dieting wrapper around it that, okay, you're going to start it tomorrow. Perfect. And just keep it up forever. No. It's this idea is the problem. So yeah, well, at least Mickey, I hope you got something out of this. And what I would suggest, if you're even serious, if anything I'm saying resonates with you, click the link in my bio, go get the free hypnosis session I give you all. Watch the video I made for you. It's video training, 3 steps to master your weight. It's free. Read the emails I send you. I email you every day. I email out free stuff every day that's really helpful. And then I just create the goal weight quiz. You can take that too. So, what's up, Jen? Jen says, good morning, Jim. Can you talk to how others, can you talk to how to talk to others about hypnosis in simple terms? Okay. Good Lord. That was tough for me. Okay. So, yeah, hypnosis. I think that's a great question, by the way. I am a certified master hypnotist, a hypnotist trainer. I'm certified stage hypnotist. I've done a lot of hypnosis. Right. And Mickey says, love listening to you. Thank you. You're welcome, Mickey. Thanks for asking the question. I appreciate it. So hypnosis, I think personally, my take on hypnosis is that it's really taught wrong completely. And I think it's understood wrong. Okay. Meaning that I think most people think of hypnosis and they think of someone actively doing something to someone else, someone hypnotizing someone. Okay. And I think that's like one band of it. But to me, the more interesting understanding of hypnosis is that hypnosis really explains how our brain works in a very practical way. Okay, so hypnosis explains our mind really simply. It says there's a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. The conscious part of your mind is the rational, logical part of your brain. It's the prefrontal cortex, newest part of your brain for humans. And this is the part of our brain that knows what we should do, why we should do it, tries to get us to do it. This is where our willpower is at. Okay, our subconscious mind is the rest of our brain. right? So just make it real simple. And this is the part of your brain that runs all your habitual thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And it's really running your weight because your eating is really a habit, right? Most of your eating is just happening on autopilot in the background. Okay. So what most diets do is they just go at you consciously and they say, hey, do this, do this, do this. You should do this. You should do this. And they tell you all the things you should do. And then you try and use your willpower to force yourself to do those things. I'm going to eat 1,200 calories. I'm going to stop eating for 16 hours a day. Whatever you're going to do, you're going to try and force yourself to do it. But you never dealt with all the subconscious stuff. So, you got to look at it like you got all this subconscious programming that says, oh, it's 9:00. Let's go get a muffin and a coffee. Oh, it's 12:00. Let's get a snack and a cookie. Oh, it's 8:00. Let's have our ice cream. Right. So those patterns are still running automatically. And now here you are in your diet. Here you are trying to intermittent fast. And so, oh, here's a craving for the coffee. Oh, here's a craving for this. Oh my God, here's a craving for this. Right. And so what you have to do is you're basically fighting against your subconscious mind the whole time. This is what it is, right? Every diet to me is this way. There's basically you consciously trying to fight against your subconscious mind. And you can do it for a little while. Stop. You can do it for a little while and then you can't because again, your subconscious mind runs it automatically. And the conscious mind is a finite resource. It's like, again, imagine your breathing is run subconsciously. Okay. Imagine all of a sudden you had to remember to breathe. Think about how taxing that would be. Okay. Humans are not built to be consciously in control of every little thing and decision and thought we're making. We're running on autopilot. And your weight is controlled by your automatic factors. Your automatic thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are really controlling your weight. And in your lifetime, you've never learned how to influence your subconscious mind. And that's what hypnosis is. It starts with this conscious subconscious dynamic and then understanding that your conscious understands logical words and ideas. So I could explain to you any diet. You'd say that makes a lot of sense and I'll do it. Now, if you were a robot, you'd just be conscious. Well, that makes sense. But if you were a robot and you just did what you were supposed to do, you would just be this consciously oriented creature who would just do their intentional programming. But you're not. You have all this subconscious programming coming out as well. And the conscious and subconscious mind communicate differently. So the conscious mind, you can tell it exactly facts, figures, what to do. The subconscious mind, you have to speak in hypnotic ways. And that really just means using your imagination. So facts and figures don't mean a lot to your subconscious mind. Visual images, auditory hallucinations or auditory things you hear in your head. Let's put it that way, right? You talk to yourself in your head, right? That's an auditory hallucination. So you have visual, auditory, kinesthetic, imagined in your mind has a huge impact on you. And you know this already because when you watch TVs or movies, that is hypnosis. So the hypnosis that we all experience, that we all have know what it feels like, is if you're watching a TV show or a movie, right? None of this shit's real. You know that, right? You're looking at a screen with light coming and hitting your eyes. You're hearing sound waves hit your ears. You're sitting on a sofa in your room, but you're having feelings of being chased. Why? Because you're watching a movie where a person's being chased, right? Or if you watch sports, if you ever watch a sporting event, you're just sitting on your sofa, but you got adrenaline pumping through your body. How'd that happen? Because you're imagining that you're playing the sport. Your imagination is making a real physiological effect. And that's the real starting point of hypnosis, is that what we imagine in our mind has a huge impact on what we think, feel, and how we behave. And so hypnosis is really about influencing the subconscious mind so that we can influence the automated part of our mind, the thing that does things automatically, right? And so hypnosis is just kind of an approach to communicate with that piece of our mind so that we start to naturally and automatically do the things that bring us to the direction we want to go in. So, you dieters are focused on losing weight, and I'm helping my clients live, eat, and think like a thin and healthy person. I hope you see the difference, right? Dieting is about fighting against yourself, fighting against your subconscious mind. Program yourself thin, and hypnosis-based approaches are about installing better ideas into your subconscious mind so that you start to naturally run that way. And that's kind of the philosophy in the beginning, then, kind of carry it out. What's up, Claudia? How's it going? Hello, Jim. Hope you're doing well. I'm struggling to come back at the PYT. Well, Claudia, yeah, just pick up somewhere. I can restart you with the days, right? There's lots of ways to get restarted. So I can restart your days so you start listening to the hypnosis sessions. There is a new workbook. I don't like to talk about this too much because I don't know when it's going to end, but it's moving forward. But enough of that. But yeah, you can shoot me a message if you want me to start your days up. And then there are a couple of ways to get started too. I mean, again, there's, ongoing, support programs, if you're interested in those as well. So let me know, but we'll get back in here. Krista says, how do you get rid of food talk in your head? I feel like diet programs lead to just thinking constantly about food, how many points or calories something is. How do you just eat better without all this food talk? Now, Krista, that's a brilliant question in my mind. I think that's brilliant. Exactly. The diets have conditioned you all to think about food like obsessively. Nothing gets you more obsessed with food than going on a diet, right? And again, I think it's built that way because they're fixating on you. They're fixating you exactly on what they don't want you to, what you don't want to be eating. And one of the main rules, so I was talking about hypnosis, dealing with the subconscious mind. Well, one of the main rules of the subconscious mind, your subconscious mind as well, is that your subconscious doesn't understand negatives. Okay. So get ready, get your willpower together and don't think about what I'm about to say. Don't think about a banana. Don't think about a banana. Stop thinking about a banana. So what are you thinking about? A banana, right? So your subconscious mind can't not think about a banana once the word's said. Because once I say banana, your subconscious mind lights up your visual cortex with the image of a yellow fruit. Okay. And now you've seen it. And so when I say, oh, I got the no dessert diet, nothing would get you eating dessert faster than the no dessert diet. Do you understand? It's like, okay, on Monday, we're going to focus on not eating ice cream sundaes. On Tuesday, we're going to focus on not eating fresh baked cookies. How about that diet? Right? Just don't eat any cookies today. Today's the day you don't eat cookies. Yeah. What are you thinking about? Your favorite cookie, probably. So it is diabolical and devious what these companies do. So what's the solution to the food talk? You're absolutely right. And your realization that the diets are obsessed on the foods you're literally trying to reduce or eliminate should be the first kind of step in taking a real dramatic step forward. Because now what you want to do is fill your head with what you want to do, what you want to eat, how you want to think, how you want to feel. So instead of getting obsessed that I can't eat carbs, I can't eat my favorite muffin, I can't eat my favorite pizza, oh God, I can't eat my favorite bread. Okay, let's see how long that goes for. Okay. And then let's compare that to, I want to start eating more whole, clean foods. I'll eat that other shit sometimes. I know that, but I want to really focus on getting some fruit in my body, some fresh vegetables, some salads, some whole natural foods, some really nourishing, high quality fuel into this body. Let's see what it can do. Right. And we start wrapping our head around, how do I want to feel? I want to feel more alive. I want to feel more energized. I want to feel happier. I want to feel healthier. I want to feel more confident, more successful. Right. Again, how we think about things really dictates the results you're going to get. And diets have trained you and conditioned you to think like overweight people. Sneakily, I'll give them that. But it's still, you're thinking like an overweight person. When you imagine a dieter in your mind, you don't imagine someone at their goal weight. You imagine someone overweight who's trying to lose weight and has been for a long time and has no fucking clue what to do. So yeah, the food talk really starts. And again, I've been studying food noise and food talk for over 30 years. So I know that's the big word with these injections. But first of all, I've worked with a lot of people on these injections and it doesn't eliminate the food noise. It turns it down for sure, but other shit's still there. Program yourself thin. We deal with the food noise genuinely. What are you thinking about? Why would you have food noise? Well, maybe it's because you're exposed to over 1,000 food ads every day. You don't live in a vacuum. You live in a world where you're constantly being conditioned, dare I say hypnotized, to be obsessed with food that makes you overweight. So again, Krista, what I would suggest, I wish I could, I love your awareness there. And I think that's a key point. And to really dive into that more, click the link in my bio or go to Program Yourself Thin, get the free hypnosis session, watch the video I made, read the emails I send, because I talk about this stuff constantly, and once you understand it, it's a different process. That's the point I'm trying to make. You all are so apathetic at this point with your weight because you think the only way to lose weight is diet, injection, or surgery. And none of them are very appealing to you. Okay. But I'm telling you, there's another way. It's a way where you learn how to be a thin and healthy person. You learn how to think like a thin, healthy person, live like a thin, healthy person, eat like a thin, healthy person. It's not rocket science. I will tell you that. And it's not rocket science because I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm a simple man. It really, like, I'm kind of joking, but I'm really not. Like, it's really not that complicated. If you start where you're at right now and you start to comfortably, strategically, systematically improve your reading in a comfortable, easy, enjoyable way, this really is not that hard. But what I'm saying, you've never once thought when it comes to your weight, because the only way you can approach your weight is this wild emotional highs and lows, of either doing it 100% or not doing it at all. And it's crazy, but the good news is it's not hard. It's hard to do it the way you're trying to do it. Thanks, Sweet Quest. So it's not hard and I always joke around this, that it's easier, in my opinion, it's easier to master your weight than it is to lose weight. Because with losing weight, it's good Lord. The hard part of losing weight is that the impatience, you know what I mean? Like the intensity of it. It's so much, and it's hard to keep that up. And that's not the only way. As a matter of fact, that way doesn't even work. But it's like the way you actually get to your goal weight and stay there is the slow, relaxed, comfortable way. And I want you to take this. I know you said, what do you're like, it's not even, I'm not connecting with what I'm saying because that idea doesn't even live in your mind. I always joke, what's the Chinese word for pencil? Right? You know how like there's just nothing there. It's just emptiness because you've never learned the Chinese word for pencil probably. The idea that you could approach your weight loss calmly, strategically, systematically, enjoyably, comfortably. That idea is there's nothing there. That's kind of my main point. And I that should be exciting to you. The people that it's exciting to are the ones that, end up working with you. But it's like, you should really take a step back and think about this, because this is the core problem. You're like, with your weight loss, you're not even going the right direction. Dieting is like literally running east full speed, 100 miles an hour, trying to see a sunset. It's never going to happen. You're 180 degrees. You're just totally going the wrong direction. And that's how it is with your weight loss. Like literally the concept of weight loss is broken. It's not even accurate. You don't want to lose weight. You want to live at your goal weight. So anyways. Yeah, Claudia, send me an email. Got you. A lot of support in the program too. Because that happens, people get off track. You get off track. What? Oh, you mean I'm not going to take the program and just be thin forever? No, you fucking not. No, you're not. That diet stuff, like that's the diet thing. Like you're just going to get to your goal weight and then that's it. Nope, that's not how it works. Up toasted bagel. Feel ashamed watching you eating mac and cheese? Eating don't feel ashamed. Shame is not a helpful emotion. I will tell you that. Not most of the time. Certainly now it comes to your eating. Because I think about all the shame eating you may feel. And it's like, if that's not helping you stop, then stop feeling shame, because we only have so much energy, and we can either spend that energy feeling shame, or we can spend that energy recognizing how eating mac and cheese makes us feel afterwards. And I will all day, every day, spend my mental energy and focus on how I feel after I finish eating the mac and cheese all day long. The shame does nothing. The shame just makes you feel bad about everything. And now you're not aware of the mac and cheese, what it does to you afterwards. You just feel like shit about yourself. And the only thing that makes you feel better when you feel this much shame is some more mac and cheese in an hour or two, or the cookies or whatever comes next to distract yourself. So it's just like someone who's addicted to substances, just their whole day, just bouncing from hit to hit to hit to hit to hit. Thinking that that's so great when in reality it's miserable, but anyways, a lot of that starts with the shame. So don't feel shamed. Start to become aware of how you feel after you eat mac and cheese, physically, mentally, emotionally. Yeah. Jen says, yeah, the goal weight's where life begins. Yeah. Jen's been at her goal weight now for, I think, 6 months, longest she's been there, stop. It's nice when you live out of your goal weight. I mean, as you can imagine, but you really should take a second to imagine it. Because you don't imagine it. You imagine getting to your goal weight magically. And for most, if you're a dieter, you have a real subconscious issue going on. Okay. Which is that you know what it feels like to lose weight. You know what it's like. Well, obviously you know what it's like to be overweight. You know what it feels like to lose weight. But there's probably a great chance that you're not really Sure, or you don't remember what it's like to live at your goal weight. Live at your goal weight for the rest of your life on your autopilot. And that's the goal and the promise of Program Yourself Thin. So I will put that goal up against any diet, because the diets, subconsciously, the way diets are framed is they're all framed as temporary things you're going to do until you lose the weight. And then there's always this, well, what then? And then every dieter says the same thing. Well, I'm going to figure it out. So confidently, so filled with such certainty. I'm going to figure it out, Jim. I'll figure it out then. And we tell ourselves this lie: you lose the weight and then you put the weight back on. No, you didn't figure it out, and you never have figured it out. And how would you figure it out? Because losing weight and living at your goal weight are two totally different things. You have to understand that if you're overweight and have been for a while, you have an overweight mindset, meaning that just when you're just living your life, like you're not dieting, you're not obsessed with food, you're just kind of living your life, doing whatever, you're overweight. Okay. So the way you naturally and automatically think, live, and eat, you're overweight. Okay. And so when you go on a diet, it's important to understand that dieting is not a mindset in of itself. Dieting is an anti-mindset, meaning that all you're doing with your dieting is you're just saying no to all your automated thoughts. Oh, let's get a muffin in the morning. No. Let's have chips at dinner. No. Let's have pizza for dinner. No. Let's have this carb. No. Let's have this. No. And you know yourself down to your goal weight at best. That's the best case scenario, is you know yourself down to your goal weight. And now what do you do? Because now you can't keep dieting, and you only have an overweight mindset. So unless your strategy is that you're just going to fight against this mindset for the rest of your life, what ends up happening to 95+% of people is they put the weight back on. And why wouldn't you? You never learned how to live like a thin, healthy person. You got focused, you know? Just Jay just said, did you say you're more Sith? I know. I said that. I said I shouldn't say that, but I was saying it within a specific context. I think I'm more Jedi. I'm trying to get on here doing the right thing, but I was in that specific case. Sometimes there is an argument to be made that the hate, I don't know if it's more the love for people and wanting them to live as long as they can and the best quality of life they can. There's two sides of that coin. I'm not going to lie. It's the love I have for people, that I want them to be there for their families, for their, friends, for their best, most important people in their lives. I don't want them to have a beautiful, wonderful life, right? That's the kind of the Jedi side. And then there's just my deep, my deep hatred for these companies, that I don't look, the food companies are the cigarette companies. The diet companies to me are the food companies. So they're the cigarette companies. And so they do not have your best intentions at heart. They don't have your intentions. They just want to make money off of you. And it's just like the cigarette companies. I hate the cigarette companies. Tala, stop. Dog is licking. It's engrossing, and dog keeps licking. So, yeah, so they're both there, and I don't know. It's strong. Yeah. But yeah, any questions, ask them. What's up, Ken? Ken said, I skip breakfast on my 2 pleasure days each week. I almost enjoy the short-term feeling of hunger. Ken's a superstar. Ken's really just very, very good at the program, I will say. And I do the same thing. And I do that on my, I don't do my breakfast. So I'm a person in Program Yourself. Then we figure out our eating blueprint, what works best for us. And then we have kind of a plan as we go into the week, not just a plan of what to eat, but a plan of how to feel the best, how to manage our hunger, how to manage our calories, how to manage our emotional state, how to make it as easy as possible. And we look to create this eating blueprint. Let's put it that way. But it's different for each person. So for me, on my pleasure days, it's the same thing, like where I like the short-term feeling of hunger, but I put my feeling of hunger in the middle of my breakfast and dinner. So on my pleasure days, I skip lunch. And I like that little extra hunger I get as I move into probably one of the most enjoyable meals of the week. So I love what you're saying, Ken. And I think that's a great strategy. Now the only difference, right? So why Ken and I are different is I don't like skipping breakfast. I don't feel as good. I don't do as well when I don't do as well when I skip breakfast. I don't feel as good. So I like having breakfast pretty much right when I get up. And then I like having that period of time. But again, this is just part of what I'm saying with the Program Yourself Thin, is that it's always customized to you, which again is another concept you're really ought to drill into your mind, because diets have basically gone in the opposite direction, that it's a one size fits all. Everyone should be keto, right? It's crazy. Everyone should be carnivore. no one should be carnivore, but that's okay. That's another story. But no one should be any one thing. We're all just so unique and different, so nice job, Ken. I think that's a great strategy and great job adjusting it to yourself. Sally Santos says left sugar alarm for 10 months, dropped 60 pounds. Oh, you probably said alone. Left sugar alone for 10 months, dropped 60 pounds. Holy cow. What we don't change, we use. Yeah, that's crazy. He must have been eating a lot of sugar. That's pretty good. And again, everyone's different. That's another piece too. Some people could cut sugar out and they might lose 20 pounds. Everyone's different, but that's quite an amount of weight to drop from just dropping sugar. And I don't mean to say just dropping sugar. I think dropping sugar, if you dropped it completely, is a very big undertaking. But nice job. Nene says, I can go for months and not want ice cream. And then if I say I'm going on a diet, I want it. Yeah, absolutely. Nothing triggers cravings more than a diet. Literally nothing. So I don't know. Do you not all think that's true? I think it's true. What's up, Sally? Sally's from Bermuda. That must be nice. Although I can't complain. It's really nice where I am now. So I will not complain about the weather. Not New England. Not when it's nice out. So all right, everyone. Thank you so much. I appreciate all these questions and comments. Super great. Appreciate them. If you're not in my world, click the link in my bio. Go to Program Yourself Then, get the free hypnosis session I give you. Watch the video I made for you. Read the emails. Take the goal weight quiz. It's all free. That's all free stuff. And there's going to be even more free stuff coming after that. I got a couple other things I'm doing first, but again, get on my email list. I'm here to help you. And if you like this here, I'm here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Eastern, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. What's the other one? YouTube. Yeah, that's the other one. So I streamed all those. So whatever one is your preferred one, you can come find me usually around noon Eastern. Pop on here. And if you miss it, you like listening to it, it's also a podcast. Put it up as a podcast each and every day. It's on all the podcast platforms. And it's called Program Yourself Then. Okay. So thanks so much, everyone. Have a super day. And we'll talk soon.